We're using computer audio. Now somebody else, Mila.
Mila. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Oh, we can
Hello.
hear you. Can you hear us now, yeah?
There you are. Can you hear us, Mila?
We haven't got a lot of time with this. This is a new system. We've only got 40 minutes, so I need to get through a lot of information quickly.
Good.
But this is all going to be recorded, both audio and visual. So if you don't see it here, you will see it online soon. So let me just get it up and we will get moving.
Mila, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, very good.
We can
Oh,
hear you
look,
too.
she zooms in. I like this better.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
much better than Skype.
Admit.
Who's that? LR. Oh, that's Lisa. Oh.
That's Lucia. That is.
Lucia.
Okay, we've got another one now. Okay, she's not. Okay, so what time was it? We've got 8 minutes, and unfortunately, we're already
8 minutes.
That's 8 minutes before we start, and we're going to start on time because we've got a lot to get through, as I say. Just excuse me for a moment.
I'm glad this is working because I read some notices about, overloading of some of these programs because everybody's at home.
Do you have my agenda notes?
Right here.
All right.
Oh, yes.
How many?
Huh?
How many people we have in right now?
Right now, there's you, David, and Lucia.
Okay.
The most important people are here. That's the most important thing is we've got you beautiful people. So
Lucia just has her.
Yeah. She does. Yeah. Look very photogenic there, Mila, doesn't she?
She's
wow.
very busy. She's got her flax. I've been drinking your flax oil.
You're lucky I'm here, Andrew. I've just been in bed.
Oh, internet. Oh, I know why. Hold on. I'm going to make our internet better. Duh.
Hey, Andy.
Yeah.
I've been in bed 3 days, mate. I've had climatic flu. It's been absolutely horrible. Headache for 3 days. I've just had my serum and all my stuff pumped into my body today, and it's all to do with climatic change on the coast, mate. So I'm very lucky to be honest with you. I was nearly in hospital.
Wow.
My goodness. Yeah,
you look a little bit rough. It sure wasn't a few vodkas. Anyway, let's keep it sensible, keep it professional.
Oh, look, we can react.
We can do what?
I can react to your flu.
Oh yeah, you can reaction. Yeah, it's a pretty good system actually. But as let's say, we've been recording this meeting now. Does it tell us how long we've been recording for?
It doesn't.
That's unfortunate.
Okay.
So yeah, we may. So what may happen is we may lose you, and you have to dial back in on Skype. But like I say, everything's going to be recorded on MP4 and on MP3.
Great.
Okay, so what we got?
What's the code on Skype, Andy? What's the code?
We've not got Skype details, but can we put that in the note in the meeting notes there?
Do what?
Skype address for us.
Skype is Hacienda San Joaquin.
All one word.
That's Skype.
And is that should be Hacienda San Joaquin admin, all one word, yeah?
No.
No, separate. Okay, fine. So if you need to call in on Skype, which I'm sure you will do. So the plan is to really just to give you an update and then and have a bit of a Q&A at the end of it. So
okay.
Yeah. So I better put 55, so 5 minutes, and we will be starting sharp. So we've really kind of eaten into 10 minutes of this already. So
yeah, but it's a brief meeting.
30 minutes. Okay.
It's a more brief meeting, so it's not too long. What do you have? Climatic flu?
I had climatic flu, and some other people have got it here. It's been a killer, man. My head has been on fire 2 days, but luckily it's receded now, and I'm getting back to normal.
Oh, good.
Did you see Susan down there and the boys?
They came to visit me the last night. They'd overdone it the day before in the sun and surfing on the back beach, but they did come up with Paul and just one of her sons and Vladimir. The other one was still in Vilcabamba.
Well, in Bilbao today, when the roads closed to Locha, you can't get out. You basically turn left on Chowpy Road. It's closed from now on in. Vehicles, which we'll talk a little bit about this. Actually, so I'm not going to kind of go into this right now.
No. But Adam, my friend Adam from England, and his mother, who's 90, they did it this morning, and they managed to get their AM back, Andy. But the supermarket was only those two were in the Supermaxi. There was nobody there at all.
Yeah, well, they didn't close the road until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's why then. Yeah, he left at 7.
Yep.
Okay.
Curfew is 9 to 6 or something, I guess.
Yeah, whatever it
That's
is. But we know what it's all
Right.
about at the end of the day. It's about
That's right.
stealing
That's
money.
right.
What it
That's
is,
right.
you know, smoke and mirrors, stealing money, bringing in new laws, bringing in new control, which will be here forever. Europe has just announced that they're going to be, I don't know how many trillions of dollars Europe are going to put together. The problem is Europe is already in trillions of dollars worth of debt. And Stan, okay?
Yeah, they're on Skype, so how do I get
But
Skype on?
you can't put them on Skype and do this. They need to phone, they need to call in, like we said, on the, everyone's got everything.
Try that one, just we can reduce it. See if we can just accept it.
Can't we just,
They can hear it, she just reduced it.
okay, well, I can't reduce anything.
Bruce.
Why are you calling on Skype
Ask
when
them-
we've told
let's
everybody?
Let's just write them and tell them to come on Zoom.
Accept him, but he doesn't understand that he needs to go on Zoom. That was what we did.
Why
Make it easier.
you're clicking me as I'm trying to type. All
Sorry,
right,
he's added.
on Zoom.
Well, Josh, you haven't tried both.
No,
because we're sat
that's
here.
different. That was for something different.
So, because it might take up the bandwidth.
Zoom. Yeah.
I don't.
Hi. You guys in?
We're in, thank you.
No, you're not on Zoom though. You're on
No, but they're
Skype.
on Skype. It's
Okay, fine.
They're
Can you
on
guys,
Skype.
right? Who's in? Anna
They're
Buddha.
gonna, yeah, Anash
Right.
and Booter coming in here. Hey, can you guys get on the Zoom invite that I sent you? All you have to do is click the link.
Very simple.
We
Hi.
tried it and it wouldn't let us download it.
Oh, you don't have to download Zoom.
You just click on it and it comes straight into you. It'll tell you to give you a few. It just gives you on-screen instructions. Right. What time is it now?
It's
Okay, 2 minutes and we're
2:58.
going to start.
But it's
so-
okay, they're there. What about Bruce? Is he able to dial in on the Skype? Let's just check.
Well, he did try,
Okay.
but he obviously hasn't checked his email.
Here, let's leave Bruce. You can hear us, Buddha?
I can hear you.
No, Buddha can't hear us. Hold on.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There you are. Can
Can
you
you
hear?
hear me?
And it tells you how to, whatever, but
Let's try where Buddha. Let's chat to Buddha.
Can you hear me?
Chat to Buddha.
I guess not.
let's check.
Chat. Okay, here's chat. Buddha. Buddha. Yeah. Here's Bruce. There's Bruce. So we got David, Mila, Buddha, Lucia, and Bruce all on Zoom. We've got Elena and Stan on Skype. And we've got to get, oh, and IMAC, somebody named IMAC. There's Bruce sitting down at his, is that Bruce? No, that's Mila. Thought she had a Bruce t-shirt on. And Barbara Scott's coming in on Zoom.
What a horrible feeling this is going to not charge.
It's recording on Zoom.
Okay.
Everybody can hear us? Or did the sound
Yes.
go out again?
Yeah, listen.
There we go, okay. All right, you ready? It's 3 o'clock on the dot. So let's make sure everybody can hear us. I gotta
Can
make
you
sure.
hear
Where did-
us?
Oh, here's Buddha. Let's see.
Please put it down.
Check your sound. Everybody needs to check their
Yeah.
sound.
Hi, Jerry.
Hear us.
Okay. Right, we're
There's
recording.
Jerry.
And so thank you very much indeed for everybody that's called in today. And those of you who haven't, but of course you have it on, you'll have it on the website at some stage, or certainly on YouTube and Facebook. So first, I just wanted to make a just quick opening statement, and it's just really about the business, and it just really talks about, very simply, what does a business owner do when they take on a new business? Because that's essentially what this new administration's done. That's essentially what I'm doing. And the first thing that people look at is an audit. Make sure the books are in. Make sure the books are in check. Are all the receipts there? Is everything in both electronic and in physical? So that's the kind of job that we've got done at the moment. We also are looking at what we're paying in wages, what we're bringing in, the ingress of funds. Is it viable, commercially viable? And also, looking at the vision that we have, streamlining everything, bringing everything into the 21st century. all making sure it's organised, making sure people are paying their fees, making sure this remains a world-class destination, and the decisions that are going to be made, and there are being made, need to be democratic, objective, impartial, and that's what I'm all about. It's all about transparency and openness and moving forward as a group together. So that's what I wanted to say, and that's the reason why I've taken the decision to go. Well, me personally, certainly that's why I've made sure that the decision that everybody wanted an audit happens. That everybody wanted to make sure there was clarity happens. I'm working strictly for the hacienda. My agenda is purely and simple. It's the best it can possibly be. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is this current information on the mandates for CV19. Some of you might want information, some of you may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, we have to go with what the government is saying. So basically, the reason why we're having the meeting today, or in this format, is simply to adhere to what the government is saying. And we didn't want to have it and somebody write and say, oh, you shouldn't have had that, it's illegal, etc., etc. So this is why we're doing what we're doing. Now the issues with the coronavirus as well for vehicles. So the road to Locker is closed and won't be open for a significant amount of time, apart from emergencies, medical emergencies, that sort of stuff. Cheryl on.
Mhm.
Also, very important, banks. There's very little cash in the banks. Went to the cash point today. Ecuadorian cash point cards were working in the cash points, but international cards, such as you guys have got, what we've all got, unfortunately, you're not getting any money out there. So just be mindful of that. If you haven't got an Ecuadorian bank account, an Ecuadorian card, you're going to struggle to get cash. And that's also going to be a difficulty for us too. So what can I tell you? What advice can we give you? Take responsibility for yourselves. Do what you need to do. Listen to the government and the doctors. And I'm not a scientist. I can't tell you what's going on. All I can tell you is listen to what they have to say. As long as you adhere to what's being said, then you shouldn't have any problems. Can you knock the sound up on that, please? Because it's just going to keep going. If they're not here at 3 o'clock, not at 3 o'clock. So, I'm having to look after myself, my sister's here, I'm having to deal with her medication, all those sorts of things. It's a difficult time for all of us. So please, when you've got questions about CV19, go do your information, go and get your own information. Because whatever we tell you and it's wrong, it's going to come back on us. So take responsibility, that's what we're all here for. Okay, enough of that one. So second point on the agenda is Susan's resignation. Where are we? So far, we've had 17 votes that have said yes, they support Susan's resignation. We've had 1 no, and we've had 12 abstentions. So right about now, we can move on and remove Susan from the Meduvi board, and then we will have a vote very shortly on voting in a new treasurer. So that's where we stand with that. Third point, where are we with the audit? Where are we with the audit? Right. I was hoping to have a preliminary report from the auditor today and from the lawyers, but this job has turned out to be one hell of a mountain. It's been quite the challenge to get certain information, and it's been quite the challenge to get physical information, but we're going through it bit by bit, and we're working out where we need to be. There's quite... I don't want to really say anything without, first getting the report from the auditor, but there's a lot of things that need to be gone through. There's a lot of receipts in the books that have got no names, don't have scheduler numbers, don't have dates, don't have descriptions. So it's a lot of stuff we need to go through and to pull information together. Can you just pass me that file, for example? I mean, here's the type of things that we're going through.
Which one?
This one is the water file.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is just the water file. Okay, this all has to be gone through. It all has to be brought back to a point in time where it's simple and easy to look at. Right about now, that's what we're looking at. We have a mountain of files that we're going through. We have a mountain of receipts that we're going through. We have a mountain of contracts that we're going through. We have a mountain of legal letters that we're going through. And this is not the simple job we didn't think it was going to be a simple job. But it is, it's a huge task. And the issue is really, and it's perhaps no one's fault, but when this was all set up on an administrative basis, every successive board followed the other board because everybody thought they were doing the right thing. No one really took the time to look deeply into how it was set up and how it was running. And that's what we're doing, looking into how it was set up and how it's run. And we'll be making changes along the way to ensure that there's clarity and transparency and accountability.
And limited liability.
And limited liability, because we have discovered a huge hole. We're working diligently and hard to make sure that we reduce any liabilities that we have right now, and that's where we're at. What else can I tell you about this? State of accounts. Yeah, still a challenge there. Yeah, I can't really say too much about it until I get there. I don't want to speak out of turn. I want to make sure that the auditor has the first and final say on all of this. But what I can tell you is it's been quite the challenge, and we're getting through it. And we're hoping to perhaps, as soon as we get information, we will pass it to you. So if we do an earlier meeting, I'm hopeful in perhaps the next 2 weeks or so we will have a pretty good interim report that we can share with all you. And good afternoon, Robert and Lucky.
Good afternoon, Andy.
So that's where we are with the audit, but I promise you, we are leaving no stone unturned. We're going back to 2012, and there will be a full report on everything right up to this current day. So just please be mindful, just bear with us. Please be a little bit more patient. We are running backwards and forwards, locker, lawyers, accountants, the auditors, and so on and so forth. Right, so that was my third point. And again, it's going to be a quick meeting today. I would like to probably end with a Q&A. So as far as the legals are concerned, how do we stand with that? Again, we're still continuing to seek advice relating to specifically to our liabilities, because this has become a huge gray area. And again, I think a lot of people figured that we were on the right path and we didn't have liabilities. The problem is with these gray areas that we've discovered now, they're not going away anytime soon. So we are working hard to expose what we need to expose, and to clarify what needs to be clarified, and to work with the contractors to ensure that everybody's happy. But most importantly is reducing our liability, because right about now, I still cannot categorically say that we are not the official employees and that we're not liable for all of the liquidation. So that's something that we're working on today and forward from here on. So the contractors, and I guess this kind of segues into that. What we're doing with the contractors now, and that would be Nelson is a chief contractor, and Fernando is a chief contractor. So we're establishing, we're currently today, hoping to get these signed. We're establishing the clarity on contracts. So it clearly demonstrates that we have contractors and those contractors have subcontractors, so that we are not legally liable for that, for liquidation. We're also trying to clarify work hours. What are the work hours? Also sign in, sign out. We're also trying to ensure that we have some what would you call SOPs?
Standard
operating procedures for the contractors. There is clearly a certain amount of work that needs to be done by these guys, which is normal. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. So, Nelson comes in, for example, and if he's not really, Nelson knows what to do. The problem is what Nelson's not having done is looking for things to do. So that's going to be our responsibility now. As a contractor, we're contracted to do a certain amount of works. What I'm asking the community to do now is to start looking at what needs to be done. What I need to produce is a standard memo with a requisition form. So if you see something, send it in to us. We will then turn that requisition form into a work order. Okay, and that's how we're going to start working with Nelson, so he doesn't have to think. He just comes in, gets his work orders every day, and those work orders will say who's on the job, how many men were involved, how many hours were involved, what materials were used, and how much the materials cost, and importantly, where do we attribute that cost for the works? Because as we all know, Nelson's been around working for all sorts of people. These should have been onto different budgets. It is what it is, but that's something that we're trying to clear up right now. So again, it's all of our responsibilities to ensure that Nelson and the maintenance crew do their job. So what I'm asking you today, all of you, is start looking around what needs to be done. Send us an email on the formatted requisition slip. We will turn that into a job sheet and we will give that to Nelson. That is the only way we can manage him, because if we don't manage them like that, it is going to be the way it is, and we're not getting value for money, and we have to get value for money. It's not that they don't know what to do, it's just that they're not proactive enough to get it done. Okay, so that's what I'm asking the community. Yeah, say keeping them busy means that we're getting value for money. Otherwise, if we don't keep them busy, we won't get value for money. And finally, actually no, let's pass on to you because you've got quite a. So I'm going to pass you on to Christina now, who has. Who's going to talk about what we're going to talk about?
Just a couple of things. Bruce has been working on getting the security guys up to date. They have Skype on their phone now because there's numerous people that don't have Skype. There may be some issues during this time of people not having saldo on their phone and whatnot, so they'll need to use something on their internet to get a hold of the guys at the gate. So that's being worked on. We're also working on digitizing their logs so they don't have a bunch of different manual paper logs. We can put it all digitally, and then they can have worker, visitors, and residents all in one. And then we can download those each week, back up those, instead of having a lot of the books around the office. And again, Andy and I are working, well, we're working on the standard operating procedures for administration, maintenance, security, Meduvi, everything. So that if somebody came into the office and they open up one of those binders and they go onto it digitally on the computer, there is a clear correlation. They're correlated, and anybody could come in off the street and be able to manage the office or the hacienda. There's a plan. And it's all organized. Right now there's a lot of loose files, loose papers, things that are out of order, so I'm trying to get all of that into order physically and on the computer as well. And the other thing is just going into the bank accounts. We have 3 different bank accounts now, and you ask why. Well, a lot of people make international transfers, so that gives them some more options. There's a lot of people at Bank of Aloha, and they don't have to pay fees when they make their transfer now. And also, if the office is closed, because we have been going back and forth to Aloha, a lot of people go to their ATM and pull out cash. They can just walk into CockPay and deposit the money in there. So it's just to make it easier for everybody as well, you know, and they're not frustrated if they can't drop their money off, and they have just different options.
You just want to talk, sorry, and a very important point. When you're making transfers to the hacienda, which whatever account it may be, put your details on. If you just put your property number and what it's for, whether it be for maintenance, whether it be for canal work, whether it be, just 2 pieces of information will help streamline this. People are still sending funds in without any information at all. What are we supposed to do? We're trying, and again, this is also about making it easy for you guys, but also taking the amount of pressure off Katrina, because if he spends like 2-3 hours trying to work out who sent this in, it's 2-3 hours that's been taken from all of us.
Yeah, so the accountant needs to know where I have to apply the funds, and sometimes we get no name and it could take us a month before the data even shows up. So even if you just put your property number, that's great. You could just put your property number, and if you're a canal user, just put your property number and V3, and I'll know how to divide it up. So just things like that, because it makes it an easier process to apply to the accounts and for the accountant as well. What else? And okay, so Meduvi too, we're also working with the lawyers, because Meduvi is quite a bureaucratic process, and it's what's the word? Inhabiting us from being able to do business.
Inhibiting us,
Inhibiting us from being able to perform the business that we need to do. So the lawyer and I are going to petition Meduvi to make their processes easier. You know, we have people that have come and gone. Susan, for example, is treasurer, and she's still not even put on the official list. We have people that have died, and we have people that have sold their homes that are still showing up on our list.
Jerry doesn't show up on the list.
Jerry doesn't show up on the list, and we know he should be part of Meduvi. So this is a real problem, especially when they require more than 50% of the Meduvi members to make a vote legal, right? So that's another situation that we're working on and trying to streamline as well. So we just wanted to let you know some of the things that are going on, what we're working on. If there's specific things that you have concerns about, that you let us know as well.
Yeah, I mean, guys, you got to understand, you know, the committees are running as the committees run, but we're all responsible for our community. So if you see something, say something. Don't just think somebody else is going to report it, because unfortunately they probably won't. And what my focus is to get this place cleaned up, get it working and functioning as best as possibly can, to get value for money from our contractors, and ultimately, you know, to show and ultimately to improve our living conditions and the communities and the community as a whole. So understand, we are all responsible for our community. It's not just Christina, it's not just me, it's not just the community, the committees. Please take a moment to sit around when you leave the hacienda or come into the hacienda. Just take a look around. If you see something, let us know, and then we will turn that into a work order, and that will be Nelson's work. And then what will happen is he will constantly work through all of those things. And if you have suggestions, ideas, you know, to help streamline this, to help things, you know, make things easier, clearer, let us know. Okay, so that was really very quick meeting. Would like to invite any questions if you have any.
Well, I have a question.
Okay,
So
so
with the-
mute.
So we can't hear
I
Robert.
can't hear Robert.
Oh, Can you hear me?
Robert,
Wait, hold on.
can't hear you, Robert.
Oh.
Is your audio?
No,
No, it's not.
no,
on.
it's,
So, Robert,
yeah,
can't hear you.
We
well,
can't
it's not muted.
There you are. I
um,
hear something.
Robert.
There you are,
Yes,
Robert.
can you hear me now?
Nope, still can't.
No,
No.
I can hear Robert.
I can hear
you,
too.
you can
Knock
hear
it
me.
out.
I can hear Robert.
Can't hear me.
Okay.
Where's the volume button on here? Robert, we can hardly hear you, Robert.
Okay, can you hear me now?
You've got something going on with your audio.
No, we
Your-
can
your
hear him
mic.
really good,
Can't hear
Andy.
you.
But
Can't hear
Everybody
you.
else?
Andy, we hear him very well. I
I
hear
can hear
him.
Miller now. Is that what the issue was, that they said that possibly
Yeah.
that right? It's confidential. Same as system. Go to same system.
No, we're not on.
Okay, speak.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Just a little bit, Bay. It's not fantastic,
Okay,
but
well, I'm going to get very close to the screen and try to speak as clearly as possible, okay?
okay.
Yeah,
Now, what I want to do is just reduce. Sorry, one second. I'm just going to try and look for our. Where's the? Is that on full there? Because yeah, it is. It's very strange.
Go ahead, I can hear him.
Okay, speak if you. I'm just trying to look at the. There must be a volume button here.
You have to deal with this for anything audio.
Okay.
Audio settings.
Test speaker, microphone, computer, audio settings. Okay, speaker. So volume.
yes. Can you hear me now?
Okay,
Is that better?
1 second. Automatic. Don't adjust. Okay, right. Here we go. That's it. Maximum. That's what we have now. So
Okay.
speaker output level. Speakers connection smart.
I can hear you, and I can hear everybody else very
Okay.
clearly. They can all hear
can-
me.
I can hear
There we go.
well.
Okay. Yeah, Jerry can hear me as well.
I can hear you very
Yeah,
well.
we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and see if you can understand me. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're now in this special crisis situation with these requirements which have been given from the government level, right? And so, for example, there is a couple, Maria and Angel, who deliver to us and to other people here in the hacienda every Saturday. They come in with a truck to deliver fruit, vegetables, and for us that's very useful. Now, what is the situation? Officially, will they be allowed in? Because I want to have a phone conversation with them to clarify the situation.
Okay, Robert. Okay, yeah. I mean, of course they'll be allowed in. I mean, the reality is, unless of course, unless they're showing symptoms, and the reality is, what everyone's being told now is, if you're conducting business outside of your business, to put a face mask on. So
Yeah.
that's essentially what they need to do.
Okay.
And anybody exhibiting any kind of symptoms won't be allowed in. But essentially, you know, we all have to take responsibility for this. It's not for me to say what can happen and what can't happen. It's about all of us coming to a consensus of opinion and working it out that way.
Okay, and then in the same vein, with regard to our workers in the garden, for example, we have no contact with them. You know, we don't come within 5 meters of them, and they're working outside, and so for us, they don't represent any danger. And if they are instructed properly, and I would speak with Claudio, who is their employer, if they're instructed properly, they needn't have any contact with anyone else, you know. So I don't think that they represent a danger, but probably the face mask is a good idea, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, everyone's responsible for their own health and safety here, including the contractors. So we all have to be mindful. So, and I completely hear you. All of us may have different ways of looking at this, but Robert, you need to do what makes you feel comfortable. And if that means these guys coming in with masks on and doing the deliveries, including the dustbin, let's get it done. It's no big deal. It's kind of what the government's mandating anyway. So let's follow that.
Yeah. Okay.
Andy?
Yes, David.
Yes, I just wanted to say, Andy, that it's having studied the whole country right now, I can't believe it, but according to my research and studies today, Lohar is the only province technically outside of some of the jungle areas that really doesn't have it. You know, when you compare Guayaquil up the road from me with 200-300 and Quito, and even Cuenca starting now in a few dozen, it's quite impressive to me that the province has become so strong. You know, just an observation.
Listen, David, you know the way I feel about these things, and I'm sure one or two.
I know how you feel.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but what can I do? You know, I'm in the same boat with everybody else, and that's what we have to do. We've got to, you know, we're unfortunately, it's what the majority want, and that's whether it's here or whether it's outside of here.
And you have
Sure,
to deal
I
with the
understand your politics, and I agree with you completely, Andy. But we are looking at the virus inside this country as well. You know, as a different thing to what you and I talk about with heavy politics. You know.
The practical things right now that I see is one that I sent out in my email today is about, you know, we even got this with Zoom. It said due to the volume, you know, it's going to affect the volume of the sound because of the amount of users that are on right now. So because everybody's at home and they're using electricity and internet, you do have to kind of prepare that something could happen with those. Now also the banks, we've been told by 4 people today, they're not able to get cash out. So then how do you pay for your goods that are being delivered, right? So you do have to make amends for that, and for the ATM boxes too.
Yeah.
People are going to make a run on those as well.
Yeah.
So there's certain practicalities you
Are
have
you
to look
guys
at.
still there?
Generator.
Yeah. So like I said this morning, you know, I got my cash out last week, and I've got at least 6 weeks worth of food, kilos and kilos of rice, spices, the whole thing. So if you're asking what I would do, I would make sure that you have at least 6 weeks worth of food, at least 6 weeks worth of money. Make sure you've got clean drinking water, filtration systems, because we can't guarantee that the guys that are managing the systems here are going to be here. So again, these are things that you need to take on board yourself. Now, if you've left it until today to get cash, you're not going to get cash. This morning when I went to the ATM with my sister, she just tried to draw money out. You know, all the gringos that were there with the Visas and the MasterCards and stuff like that couldn't get funds out. You had an Ecuadorian card, my card worked, and so did all the Ecuadorian bank cards. So they're also already denying international cards cash. Yeah.
But you know what, Andy? I just want to mention something. Yesterday, I couldn't get the cash out from my US bank account. But you know what? At night, I went back at night at 8:30 p.m. and I was able to get the cash. So at some point, they come back, they put the cash in. So try in the evening, you know, that's a good idea. But get as much as you can, because as Andy says, we have to be prepared, you know, we have to be prepared for at least 3 weeks, I would say. You know?
And one of the most important things is don't panic. You know,
Exactly.
see, if we're totally preoccupied by these things, even this sort of thinking brings down your immune system. So just sit back. It's a little bit strange. It's a little bit marvelous. It's a little bit intriguing, and just treat it like that. But don't treat it like your life is in danger, because it's not.
Awesome.
Just so you know, we're not hearing any of the dialogue. I
Yeah,
guess
listen,
with the Zoom.
you need to be on Zoom, because what's happening is the volume is so low on the Zoom, you're not picking it up. So you go back in, then that actually Zoom has allowed us now to continue with this, so we can get all this recorded.
Can you
So go
guys
back
hear
into
us?
Zoom and reconnect with us.
Yeah, I can hear you, Buddha.
please.
You can hear me? Yeah, Bruce? Nice.
Yep.
I don't have
Yep.
much to
Dan,
say.
Eleanor, can you hear me?
guys are doing great.
Yeah, we.
Oh, you just.
Andy, another interesting thing. I made a Swift wire yesterday, and can you hear me?
You know what?
Yeah.
It was the Skype that stopped. Now everything's clear again. Cuts down Eleanor off, and it's perfect. Sorry.
No.
Poor
I
thing.
made a Swift wire yesterday, and everything's good. I just transferred money to here and got cash out this morning.
And that's it. It's with transfers and that sort of stuff, because the noughts and zeros are there, but the physical cash, that's the difficulty. But as Mila said, try during the day, try in the morning, try in the midday, try in the evening, because they are bringing cash backwards and forwards. But
But the road to
After
Loha
8.
too was blocked. Yeah.
yeah, the road to Locha is the road to Loha
At 10.
was blocked at 10 o'clock this morning, and it will be blocked for the next 2 weeks. Unless it's a medical emergency, you're looking for medication, or you have to get to work, or otherwise you are not getting through. I mean, there are some provinces, incredibly so, that they've actually blocked the roads with mounds of rock and mud to stop people going in. This is the hysteria that's going on right now.
And there's a curfew right now too. And I sent out an email also, just a buddy system with your neighbors, if you know to the left of or the right of you, if the electric or power goes out, just in case. Especially the older people in our community, and anybody that's disabled, or like Marcia too, just people that might be struggling a little, just check in on them.
Yeah, check on your neighbors. And there's a great community spirit here. If we all remember what happened in the floods, Roland, for example, everybody pulls together, and it'll be exactly the same now. So, and that's one thing I know that Robert and Lucky are very, very much into, is the fact that, it's about working as a community, working together to support each other. And it's funny because we had these conversations only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, Robert, about this particular type of circumstance coming up. But as long as we respect each other, as long as we support each other, we will all get through this together. But don't look at the administration to do everything for you, because we can't. Don't forget, we've got our own lives. Christina's got dogs, family. I've got family over here, and I've got family in the UK, and I'm getting it from all sides. And at the same time, I'm still trying to maintain clarity and give information to you guys.
Stan and Elena, can you hear us now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Perfect.
Oh, good. Okay. Very good.
It's actually when you cut the Skype, or when you cut off there, all the audio came back on here.
Yeah.
So we're certainly not going to use Skype and this together from here on in.
Yeah.
How funny. So people are expressing their concerns about the coronavirus and what to do. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, some community solutions.
Yeah, community solutions. What have you got? What are you thinking about?
Uh-oh.
Stan, Eleanor, did you have something you wanted to say?
Nothing in particular. No,
Okay.
no. We're missing what everybody was saying.
Okay, so I'll go through it very, very quickly. So right about now, there's difficulty getting cash from the banks, especially if you have an international credit card or debit card. It seems to me what I witnessed today firsthand was Ecuadorian cards like I have, I could pull money out, only $100 at a time. But international credit cards cannot pull money out right now. So Mila said, and what Mila said is, we need to be visiting, if you're desperate for cash, and you should have really got your finger out last week, however, this way it is, you need to go there maybe 2 or 3 times a day, because they will periodically come back and top it up. But of course, as soon as money's going in, everyone's running there and drawing it all out. People are hoarding right now, which is understandable given the hysteria.
Okay. So they're just not filling the machines quickly.
Correct. Yeah, there's not a lack of cash. It's just a lack of transportation of cash to the boxes.
Right, and nothing can block.
There's also free.
The guys told me that they can't get money out. I was told from some people in town today that Cockpay won't give them money, so all we can do is make transfers, but they're not able to get their money out.
Right.
But
Wow.
I think, you know what, the communication, we should stay in a good communication, and whoever needs anything, you know, if I can help with anything, like I said, yesterday I got cash. If I would have known that somebody else needs cash, you know, I mean, as long as we stay in touch. For example, Andy, I just helped your sister to get those 2 medications.
I know you did, thank you. I mean, I spent a crazy amount of time yesterday trying to get medication.
Yeah, and she should have basically told me. I didn't know that that was the case. I have contacts with doctors and pharmacies. So if there is anything I can help, just let me know. Don't go and run there, just let me know, because I have a lot of contacts here.
Absolutely. And let me just reiterate what Mila said. I had a taxi driver running around yesterday for 3 or 4 hours. I spent 2 hours yesterday. I spent another 2 hours this morning. Mila did the whole thing in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Stuff that said it's impossible. You can't get that here. It's in 5 minutes. It's all done. So,
yeah,
you know, start relying on people.
Yeah, I have to be very efficient, you know, with my situation.
Of course.
All I use are those 2 phones.
No, you excellent. Thank you very much indeed, and my sister.
You're very welcome. And anybody, if anything happens, or if there is any need, or you know, any concern, you can always call me and contact me for any sort of help.
Where have you been all my life?
Right here. You know what I say? We are so privileged, because I mean, from the entire situation, no matter what we think, we are still in the best place possible.
Absolutely.
You know, so all we need, just get some rice, get some lentils, and maybe don't run to the town by yourself. Just ask somebody, whoever goes with a car, get more for you, and just store it at the house, and just stay calm, and you know, try to survive the entire.
So sorry, I just want to move back to Robert again, Robert, because you were barely hear you. So do you want to go back and just kind of reiterate what you said there?
Well, really, it was just the question about our workers. You know, there is a whole dimension to this, that they need our they need to have wages, they need to have an income, and so I just wanted to make sure that they won't be stopped from coming in. You know, if they're wearing masks, you said that they will be fine.
Well, listen, let's just quickly ask everybody here now. Anna Buddha. So, yeah, it'd be grateful if some of you could actually speak up. And just, what do you think about if we're going to have workers in it? Do you want them coming here with masks on? Do you want them working on your property with masks? What do you want? Because at the end of the day, it's down to us to say what needs to happen. It's not going to happen automatically.
Andy, but isn't there a law now? I mean, my worker today told me that basically everybody's forbidden to work. So, I mean, it's not only about us here inside the hacienda. People are going to start spying. Like Claudia already says, you know what, this is the last time I'm coming to work. I'm not allowed, because they're going to be, everybody knows that people are working at hacienda. So there will be, you know, something else than just us wanting them to come. I am in privileged position because I'm like the senior home. I have a child with disability. So I can kind of, you know, rebel. You guys, I don't know. I mean, this is like the whole politics. It's not about, no, but I'm just saying that people are going to basically saying, oh, you know, those people go to work, so how come I cannot go to work? You know, this type of thing. So this must
okay, so we need to get that clarified, really, because essentially, for all intents and purposes, we could be breaking the law now, right? Having said that, but no, not because they're coming to us. We're not telling them to come, right? If they want to come and break the law, that's entirely up to them. I think that's where it needs to be said.
I can work from home.
I have something to add to that. This is Lucia.
Hi, Lucia.
Yeah, my housekeeper comes each day from Loja, and she was stopped this morning trying to get a bus or a taxi and questioned about why she was on the roads coming to Vilcabamba. And she told them she had an elderly woman she worked for who needed her assistance every day. I've just taken her contract and copied it and copied my cedula and written a note that says, I'm elderly, I need assistance every day in the house. Please allow Zoila to travel to my home, right? So I think most of us could do that.
Sure, excellent. That's a very good idea. So I think that's the way we can get around it, because it does say it's an emergency medication or something like that, or you have to be there for a specific reason. then I think that's a very good. So I think if we maybe we'll put an email out and follow Lucia's lead on this, and that will then ensure that your workers will be able to get to work and they won't be breaking the law.
And I'm on the computer, so I do come to the office still Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if anybody needs me, just Skype me. And like I said, we set it up for fees that can be deposited right into CartPay. I don't really have an issue in it. And I did put out, you know, for people that are older, they're disabled, they're sick, they need something. I come in and out in the car. You know, I come in about 9 and I leave about 4. So if you need something or you need to ride out with me, or if you need me to pick up something or some medication, let me know, okay?
Okay, now listen, there's one thing I'm glad we've actually got a bit more time. So there's one thing I do want to talk about, because this is, given that we're talking about health and safety, and it is health and safety related to this coronavirus stuff. But again, health and safety is all of our responsibilities. And, you know, Stan and Eleanor actually had a very, very, very close call. And David was there, and Carl was there at the time. And wholly unsafe work practices. It's got to stop. And I put an email out to it, but we all are responsible for the health and our own health and safety, the health and safety of our neighbors, and the health and safety of our workers. Because if it gets into a situation where this is where you're watching unsafe work practices and something happens, especially if it's on your property, you will be liable for this. Thank God that the people that were traveling that cab that day, Stan and Eleanor, were not another 3 or 4 seconds earlier, because the cab driver and all the cab would have been crushed. So it's these kind of things. We have to start taking responsibility for ourselves. We have to start taking responsibility for our lives here. We have to start sharing. We have to start caring. And without any of that, we're just going to keep treading water and being in the same place. So let's take health and safety seriously for our workers, for ourselves, and for our neighbors.
Right on.
And thank you, Lucia. It's a very good tip.
Yes. And Andy, what actually happened to the person who was responsible? Did you take any action as the HOA, or?
I mean, how can I take action? I mean, what I've said, I went down and spoke specifically to the individual who took the responsibility that day. Now, it wasn't the owner who made that decision. It was an individual.
I know that. I just want you to reiterate to the people.
So I went there, and as big as the guy is, stripped him right down to the wire and told him exactly what needs to go on, what needs to happen. Any works that have the potential to affect neighbors, wildlife, or staff have to be agreed first with the house in. There needs to be controls in place. And if there are no controls in place, that work will not happen.
Good.
So it's difficult, but again, we're all responsible for it. You know, I'm not expecting you to come running, telling tales and saying, oh, so-and-so did this and so. And actually, whilst we're on the subject, and this is really, this needs to be made clear. I get a lot of messages every day. So does Christina. And we get messages of people reporting other people and stuff like that. I'm not about to make a denunciation against anybody without firm, clear, demonstrable evidence. Okay, so there's no point coming to me and saying, I saw this and so was doing wrong and they did that and the other. Where's your evidence? I cannot do anything without evidence. Take a picture, take a sample, capture somebody, call security. You're responsible for it. But it's like bolting the gate after the horse is gone. Makes no sense at all. So if you see it, get some information, get some evidence, and I can do something about it. We can do something about it. But without evidence, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. Okay.
Andy, I have a question. This is Lucia again. My gardener showed up this morning and said that Nelson had informed him that he would be doing no more work on the irrigation canal. I assume that's some kind of misunderstanding.
Absolutely it is. I told everybody categorically that there will be no denial of services there. You know, we are, and this is another big, quite a lot of work has gone into the sorting out of the canal, separation of works and what should have been done, what wasn't done. But ultimately, right about now, we're letting everything ride. We're trying, and what I've said to Nelson is, if you do work on the canal, then you need to write down what part of the canal it was, what you were doing, how many hours, how many men, what the cost is. So Nelson, I need to have a long talk with Nelson. I think he's getting a little bit and he's becoming less effective. And I think he feels that he's been plucked out of water and left to dangle. But no, I don't know why Nelson said that. There is no way that we will stop that work going on in the canal. But clearly, moving forward, that the canal work has to be paid for. That's it. It's that simple.
There's an audit right now. So once we finish some of these other more pressing issues, then we're going to audit the canal, the cap, and the garbage, and see who's paying, who's not paying, how those programs should be run, how the money will be allotted. And like Andy said, we need to manage Nelson. It's they just need guidance. I've dealt with this before with the workers. You have to give them a to-do list, and then they take it, and then they do it. But they need the guidance. They need the structure. Because
ultimately they're contractors, right? They have a certain remit of things that they come in that they get done. But the rest of the stuff, they're not out physically looking for things to do. Why would they? So what we need to do ourselves is furnish them with lists, work programs, work schedules, and then we can get on top of all of this. And finally, after maybe 12 months, tell you exactly what everything is costing, exactly what budgets we have available, and exactly where we need to go to get things done better or to leave things. But so please understand, we're trying to do everything we possibly can to maintain the continuity of services that Hacienda already has, and that we may not all be responsible for them, but certainly right now we're going to continue with them. But ultimately, it's pay for play, and if you have you're on that system, then you, as people are doing, they're paying, and we'll finally get those accounts worked out, and then it will just work smoothly. But like I say, we didn't inherit the best of scenario situations, and that was nobody's fault. Everybody believed the successive person was doing the right thing. We've just gone in a lot deeper to understand what's actually going on, and that's what we're doing.
I have a second comment as well, because you're talking about changing the security protocol. I'd just like it to be known that I spent about a month training these guys on the current protocol.
Right.
And that involved not only the week of preparation, but the week of training them, pre-training, and then being down there at 7:30 every morning.
Yeah, Lucia, I'm not sure.
Let me just finish, because
we're not changing anything. We're not changing anything. Who said we're changing the protocol? We're not changing the protocol. Nobody said anything about that.
No, you said you're going to automate the protocol and put it on a tablet.
No, we didn't say that. We said we're looking at that. We didn't say we're going to do that. We're looking at the best ways to streamline, but it will not change anything about what's the information that's been gathered. We know clearly that what you've done and what you've gone through is important.
Procedures will stay the same.
The procedures will stay the same.
It's just digital.
It's just digital.
Logging.
We're not changing the protocols.
Okay. That's fine. I understand that. I'm just telling you, someone needs to volunteer to do the training, because I'm not raising my hand for that.
Well, you said to me last week that you're out, so I wasn't going to ask you anyway. I'll take that.
I said to you, I'm going to be out, and I'm waiting to find out what's happening with the security contracts. Can you talk to that?
Well, the security contracts, yeah. I mean, again, this is the big, there's a huge amount of ambiguity as to whether they're our contractors or whether they're not our contractors. If you speak to the security, Nelson, he will say that, Fernando, he is the contractor. But when you look at everything that's been done in the past, it seems as though they're our workers. So what we're trying to do at this moment in time is get a clear description in the contracts, which we've almost got done now, that will say that they are a contractor and they will have no recourse to come back and sue us at a later date. Because right about now, there is so much gray area, because it was never managed properly in the very, very beginning. These agreements that were made by successive boards or whoever was in the beginning, we're trying to now untie all of that. And so, but right about now, that's as far as we've got. We have the contracts in place. We were supposed to get... the contracts are written by the lawyers and advised from the lawyers of what we need to have. I've spent the last 4 or 5 weeks trying to get information from Fernando and from Nelson about, because we've been paying them for, We've been paying them according to what there's different ways of paying your laborers here. There's an Ecuadorian labor contract, there's a RUC and the REIS, and there's not having a contract at all. And they all entail different things. And successive people have tried to combine 2 of those programs, which actually leave us liable. And if they should have done one or the other. You cannot do both. And the lawyers have advised about 3 times. They've told us it hasn't been done right, but nobody did anything about it. So at this time, we're trying to set it straight.
and we're trying to do what's best for the hacienda and the workers as well. There's going to be performance-based things that we'll do with them, but we have to do one system, and it has to be the system that's best for the hacienda.
And the system best.
I assume for the terms of the contract, you are at least going to involve the committee members. Is that true?
Do it according to what the law says.
Well, we're just going to do what according to the law says, and unfortunately, the previous contracts were not worth the paper they were written on. It was flowery writing, flowery expressions, that sort of stuff. It looks good, but it had no legal basis in any of it. So I'm taking advice from the lawyers regarding the contracts, and it means that a contractor has a contract. He's a subcontractor of ours, and the contract will reflect that. It's not going to leave anything under. It's going to leave anything under any grey areas whatsoever. It will be clear. That's who you are. That's who we are, and there's a complete separation. Right about now, there's way too much grey area, and which leaves us liable for tens of thousands of dollars, which we shouldn't be. You know, because if you're employing a contractor, why would you be responsible for liquidation?
Okay, so I'm speaking about the terms of the contract, the hours, the wages, and so on.
Okay.
No one
Yes.
knows about
but
that
let's
at
go.
this point,
Yeah.
except me, because I have been the one working with these guys for several months now.
Yeah, me too,
and-
Lucia. I've been with them. Yeah, I've been there a fair amount of time too, if you remember.
Hello?
Sorry, continue.
I said they have been playing in their requests to me for several months, and I would like to be able to represent them when the terms of the contract, in other words, how much are they going to be paid, what hours are they going to work, etc. I'm the only one with that information, and I assume I'm going to be able to voice it on their behalf.
Okay. So, okay, and I totally agree with you, but I haven't been doing nothing for the last 12 months with them either. So I totally understand that, and it has to be clear. So I'd be very grateful if you can step up, and I would prefer that you negotiate from the hacienda's point of view rather than negotiating from the point of view of the contractors.
Exactly.
I mean, because what we're doing, you know, they need to understand what they're supposed to be doing. So they have a schedule of works that they need to complete, and they can then come to us and say, well, it costs this, that, and the other. This is what we want. I don't understand why you want to argue on their points, their conditions of service and pay.
Why, Lucia?
Why?
Yes, why?
Because they're my worker. Do I not like to
workers.
have a good working relationship with my two workers that I have here full time? If we don't have a good working relationship with a worker, they won't do good work for you. That's common business practice.
I think we're all tuned into having a good relation. I don't think anybody's going against that.
Correct.
Exactly. We all want the best.
We're trying to get value for money, right? We're trying to get value for money. It's not a secret that the security team sleep every single night without fail. They go to various places and they all sleep through the night. Is that value for money?
No.
No, it is not value for money, and I have been working with them on it.
But they continue to do it.
On
But they're continuing to do it, and it has to stop. And personally, you know, Fernando is responsible for those guys. We are not responsible for them. And if they continue to sleep on site, we should just go there and for sleep and just get rid of them straight away. That's the way I look at it. Because while we, you know, these are amazing jobs that these people have here. They're very, very simple jobs. They're not the most well-paid job, but for an Ecuadorian, it's a solid work week in, week out. If they're not prepared to protect us as we want, then we've got to find other people elsewhere. So, you know, if they want a good pay, then they're going to provide a good service. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Is this something that you can actually put in a contract, Andy? Is this legal?
This is absolutely.
Put something, for example, if you fail to perform your job, let's say up to 3 times, and we have a proof, you are out of there. Because
Correct.
I mean, this is,
Correct.
you have to be serious, you know, I treat you right, you treat me right. It's as simple as this. And we don't do babysitting here, and we don't need a nanny for them, you know?
It
A
depends
couple
on
of
the
thoughts.
contract.
1 second, David. 1 second.
Sorry. Do you want to talk
So
first?
carry on. Go on.
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts I have. You know, as you know, we have cameras all around our property. I can see them any part of the world, in any continent. I've even told my guys, you're late today, you need to stay later. Now, it might sound a bit over the top, but why not chip them in their clothing? And so you'll know where they are. If they're parked 5 hours in one location, I mean, I know it sounds tough, but we are paying these people. This comes out of my pocket.
This is it.
If they're not doing the job, they're wasting my time and my money and my security.
Unless someone's prepared to go out there at night times and check them out, then we're just paying for whatever we're paying for. And ultimately, you know, when the stuff really does hit the fan, the first person they come to is me. Sunday mornings, Saturday nights, Monday mornings, Friday evenings.
And so what about camera system? One simple camera being installed there. Why don't we do this?
Well, listen, I like what you said, David. I don't want to be chipping anybody at the end of the day, but we have to have some clarity on what they're doing. And we know full well that they are sleeping as soon as those gates get closed. Pepe, and I'll be honest with you, the other day, Pepe, I pull in, I had more than I should have done. I had to climb the fence, hurt my back, climbing the fence, and Pepe is fast asleep on a mattress with a sleeping bag.
Sure.
Okay? So,
I understand.
You know, this is appalling behavior.
Oh my God.
Look, Roland told me several years ago, he never used to put any cameras around his place. As soon as you put cameras in, the workers quit. And my workers didn't quit because they can't get another job. And I pay them very nicely and I look after them and respect them. But I do it not just to spy on those people. I have my own security and I can see everything at any time. I have animals. I have other responsibilities. So I'm just saying it's food for thought to keep an eye on these people. And if they don't want to have a chip just as a trial for 3 months, obviously they don't want to work for you and they're going to quit.
Exactly. A very good point. I totally agree. Totally agree.
And just to answer your question, Mila, because I've been trying to educate people on this, just firing them, it depends. If they have an Ecuadorian part-time or full-time labor contract, that's different. You have to put it in writing, they have to sign off on it, and you have to register it with the Ministry of Labor. If they have a rook, which is usually a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, you can just dismiss their services right there on the spot. If you have a civil contract with them under a REIF, usually you do want to outline that most likely in the contract and say you're going to get 2 warnings or 1 warning or 3 warnings. And then you want to outline that. If they have no contract at all, you're really at risk.
But here's the thing, what you have to understand as well. Those workers, they're not our workers. The workers work for Nelson and they work for Fernando, okay? If we're not happy with those workers, we can just simply say to Fernando or Nelson, we don't want those people on site anymore. And that's it. They're not our workers. But again, this has all been established in the contract, which is about to be signed. Unfortunately, we've been struggling for weeks and weeks to get information out of them that we can then include as far as how much we should be paying them, what we've been paying them, if they've been paying what we've been paying them, and we're in a huge bind right now. And I can't go into any more detail about it. I wish I could, but I need to protect us. And so I will talk once I've got clear direction from the lawyers and things have been signed. But Lucia, what I would like you to do is, I've got no problem with you supporting the guys and working out what they need to be paid and stuff, but we are not a charity. We need value for money. And right about now, we're not getting value for money from any of our contractors. It's not their fault. That's what I need to understand. It's not their fault. It's the way they've been managed or the lack of management therein.
Exactly. You're absolutely right, Andy.
I'm just trying to do what I try to do. I've run businesses, and all I'm doing is looking at all of the fundamentals, and all the fundamentals right now are really, really rocky and need smoothing out, and clarity needs to reign. Because if not, we're going to continue for another 10 years down the road, and we'll owe hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we'll have no recourse for any of it. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get everything clear, so we get value for money. People know what they're paying for. People can see the things that are happening, and then people will start paying their fees again. And also the fees. Start paying your fees as well,
Hey.
Sorry.
And having said all that, I think, Lucia, I know we like these people and we do respect that they've been there. And we don't want to not give them a really good value for their time. It's not that at all. I think all of it, I like all of them.
Yeah,
I like
too.
As people, but it's the same with our gardener. Once in a while, we got to kind of wake him up that don't take us for granted.
Correct.
And that's, I think, what we're trying to say. Just don't take us for granted, because we don't take you for granted. We do care about you.
Absolutely.
Families. I know some of the people. I know their families. And so does Anasha. So I think we do care, but sometimes we have to, you know, make sure we don't take each
Correct.
other or get taken advantage of.
Correct. You know, I'm not making any friends here by any of this. I don't want to be in this situation. I don't want to put the guys in this situation.
And I agree with Lucia too. I don't think she's trying to go overboard and not have them do a good job. But I like what you're saying. Let's come from our side because we're the ones employing them.
Correct.
Exactly.
Lucia.
Yeah, I'm here.
I just wanted if you got to comment on that at all.
No, I don't have the bandwidth to go down and be with them at night and supervise them. I've told them what they need to do, and if they're not doing it, I really can't help it. So I can't help you there. They've been sleeping for years.
I know, that's...
I understand also,
If I could just finish,
Let Lucia finish.
what I have done is I have put them in training once a week, and they are getting more and more and more inspired. That's my approach. Give them something inspirational, give them techniques, put them sparring together once a week and let them train for 2 hours. That has changed the tone completely. So I've done the day protocol, I've done the training, and I really probably have nothing to say again about the contracts. If everybody else wants to go with minimum wage, I don't agree. If they want to go with 12-hour days, I don't agree. I've worked out a schedule where they can work 8-hour days if we just have somebody else 3 days, 3 nights a week. But if that's not of interest, I resign.
Lucia, you know, Lucia, this is very beautiful that you did, but it's not sustainable. Now you are quitting. Who else is going to be coaching them like this?
Yeah.
This is not kindergarten, you know. We have to be like, we have to get the value for the money. This is a business we are running. We have to treat them, you know, respect. We all want the best for them. I love the guys, but you know what? If I pay you, I also want you to work. I want you to work and do your job. And I'm not going to stay there and babysit you. You know, I have my life also to run. So I respect you. You respect me. It works like this.
And it really disappoints me that people just say, all right, I quit, I resign. I wish I could do the same, you know what? But my livelihood, my life, and the rest of your livelihoods and lives rely on somebody in place doing the right job. You know, it's always difficult at the beginning of changing the business.
Okay, Andy, so I'm telling you, the one thing that we have to put an eye there. It's okay, Andy. She will come back. You know what? We have to put the eye there. We have to put a camera, one camera. This is gonna change things around. And you know what? Without a camera, it's always like it's a human nature. You know, the same thing. I'm running a program for Daniel, and you know, if I don't have a camera in a room, I am not there to spy on the people. I want them to feel comfortable. You know.
I know.
Same way, when I don't have a camera, it's basically like having a babysitter, and I am paying for professional service.
Correct.
Can I make a comment?
Sorry.
It's the same thing.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Okay. So the new security protocol, if we were able to adapt that into it, the whole thing changes the whole outlook of security. The digital things that you want for the office, the cameras that will be pointed towards the areas of where they're sleeping, all of this sort of puts everything to bed. Mostly at a minimal cost. You're looking at less than $6,000 to do this. You know, that is by far the best investment that anything in the hacienda would ever have in the future. You know, it's you can add additional cameras in any areas along the fiber optics area. The issue that we run upon right now is, do we keep the gate where it is, or do we move it? Because that's a crucial spot of either moving stuff forward, is to find out to see where the location of the office, the security, everything is going to be in the future.
I mean, if you want to go down that road now and talk about that, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I can certainly give you my ideas, but I think
I don't think it's time right now. You know, I don't think.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem, Bruce. We are not getting value for money from our workers. Fernando is in charge of security. Nelson is in charge of maintenance. We're not getting value for money. I don't want to be a horrible guy and push these guys out or push anybody around, but ultimately I want to see value for money for the hacienda. So
no, for sure.
Yeah. So we need to bring these in.
It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. This gives you the ability to actually get proof. You know, so
Yeah,
if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to put a camera inside the main gate, and I'm going to put it in there to watch you sleep, and I'm going to take pictures while you sleep, and I'm going to bring this evidence to the lawyers and say, listen, if you don't smarten up, your job is on the line.
Okay, listen, Bruce, do me a favor. I mean, and you've got experience with this and knowledge of this. So what's going to be the cheapest way we can get a camera in there? Because we need to watch them. And I hate to have to say that, but we need to, because otherwise we're just paying people to sleep at night.
I just got the beautiful system from States. I have to tell you, I have like 10 cameras in the house. I cannot help me, okay? He is a specialist. 10 cameras. I have the whole terminal for 16 cameras. I think I bought. It cost me like 300, 400 bucks. Then I got the hard drive where I can record, you know. I don't remember, but really good storage. It cost me 1,000, I think 400 bucks. That's all. All we need right now, we need one camera in the entrance, maybe one camera in the office. And it's not going to be like this, Bruce, that we're going to go to the guards and we're going to threaten them. No. We, as a basically business, we need to have our cameras because we need to supervise and we need to survey our area. And you know what? This is what it is. Simple as this. And you know what? If you don't have anything to hide, if you are working and you do your job, let me tell you, they're going to be even happy because it's extra security for them. If you are slacking off and you're lacking, you want to sleep, too bad, it's going to be exposed.
Yeah.
I just want to address a couple things Lucia said. They are manual labor. They have one job, and it's to protect the hacienda, and we're paying them according to what the government sets for the price for manual labor. The second thing is that they have a stable job. I can tell you, I know a handful of Ecuadorians here that actually have a stable, consistent job where they get paid every week like they get paid here. Also, they the performance bonuses, we're going to move to something performance bonuses. So they will get their regular minimum wage, but if they reach their performance goals, like we see, this one didn't sleep the whole month. We'll set up what those performance goals are, but they have to meet those goals and then they'll receive a bonus. And then on top of that, I have noticed as I've gone back through the ledgers that several of them have received funds from CAP. So we do treat them as community members here as well, and we've helped them out with various things through our CAP program. And also working the 12-hour shifts, some of them have requested it because they work other jobs. It enables them to be able to have another job on top of this one.
Exactly.
And then moving to digital and Skype. Now this isn't static, just because there's some protocols that are set in place and they're wonderful. We still have to be dynamic. Something might change and we have to change the protocol. For instance, that's why we're asking that they have Skype on their phone, because there are many people that don't have a telephone or they don't have a signal, and they have to get through to the gate somehow. And also the reason for the digital, doing digital logs is because it's a lot easier to access. Say there is an issue, all we have to hit is control, find, boom, we're there. Now we've got all these books sitting in boxes. I don't know how I can sit there on the floor and go through there and look for something on some date 2 years ago that might have happened or not. This way digitally also it's going to save time at the gate, because they just tap a screen. They can tap a worker, visitor, or resident, and then all you have to do is filter it to filter out who's what and where when you're looking.
Save tons of time.
And back it up.
Save tons of time. All backs up electronically, and and eventually we could maybe even move to a barcode system that. We're trying to improve
That's what
things.
The card system did.
Sorry?
I said that's what the card system did.
Well, yeah, that's what the card system. And again, and this is what we need to be. This is what we need to be looking at. This is what we need to. But we need to get a consensus of opinion. There's no point people just resigning, walking away because they're unhappy with what we're. This is not a nice position to be in. Believe you me, I'm working full time here every single day. Christina is too. Weekends, the whole lot. Just doing what we possibly do to move this into a better place. And the harder this becomes, the more pushback we're going to do. But you have to understand these decisions need to be made, and they need to be made right now in order for us to mitigate any risks that we're currently under.
And to your comment, Bruce, also, I just wanted to say, by us working on the liability right now, the money that's in the bank right now is all accounted for liability. If the liability is taken away, then we're growing that money, maybe having some sort of investment and taking the interest from that and putting it towards programs like you're talking about with the cards or the electronic gate or the cameras.
But it's all our responsibility. It's all our responsibilities.
I agree with you, Christina.
All of our responsibilities, because ultimately we're the beneficiaries of all of this, or the losers in worst case scenario. And that's all I'm trying to do. That's all we're trying to do is get to the bottom of all of this, get it all out in the open, get it all clear the decks, move forward. And there are some painful decisions that need to be made, and there are some people that are not going to be happy. You know, but my MO is 80-20. If I can keep 80% of the people happy here, that's a good move. And that's what I'm working on. There's going to be 20% of the people I'm never going to make happy. It doesn't matter what comes on, but that's just the way it is.
And 80% of your spend is on your labor. So
Yeah.
that's where we have to spend 80% of our time. Right
80% of the money's coming in goes into labor. And we're not getting value for money with that.
And that's important.
Andy, you have good ideas, and you know, just keep doing what you are doing. I think when it comes to cameras, you are very welcome to come see my house, what I got from US. I'm going to be traveling to US. I can bring more cameras. They're very light. They motion cameras, so you know they're not on recording all the time.
Yeah,
so it's excellent. I mean, they're like top technology.
What's the IP on those? The ingress protection number on it? It's like an IP6 or an IP4 or what is it? Or they're just internal camera?
I got them. No, I have internal and exterior.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't want to spy on anyone, but listen, what do you want to do, guys? You just want to keep giving, and not get anything back for it, and putting ourselves at risk.
You know what? Now the guilt kicks in. This is not about guilt. In any business, in any office scenario, any bank, any institution, there is something psychological. When that camera, if you have a camera, I'm telling you, there's something psychological.
Right.
I have those in Daniel's room.
And with the current situation that we're in right now, I already saw a notice that said the police will only be paying attention to major crimes, not small and petty crimes. The same with the doctors. It's car accidents and things. So we could see, and this isn't to be fear-based, but we could see an increase. You know, people that don't have anything and they lose everything, they lose it. And they could start, you know, getting desperate and wanting supplies or foods or gas tanks or whatnot. We don't know. We've had that happen before. I know, I think Buddha, didn't your gas tanks get stolen last year or something? But we need them on alert. We need them awake, because this is the time when people don't have money, access to money or to goods, and people are hoarding. People are going to start looking to the people that do have things. It's just a reality.
And you know what, Christina, it's extra protection for them as well, because if something gonna happen, we have those cameras, so we actually liable for their life, for security as well. So you can argue with them, you know, like that, basically. But I don't think, you know, I don't think that's I don't think that's gonna be a difficult to introduce. If you're gonna approach them in the right way and explain them, you know what, this is what it is. These are our work conditions. This is a workplace, and that's what we want to do. And the whole community agreed. We love you, we respect you, but you know what? We want the cameras as well.
The boundaries.
So who was talking?
Right. The first part of the meeting was so beneficial to me. You're telling us what you're doing, and I agree with how important it is, and I like your approach. We've now digressed into talked about cameras. Been a lot of people talking about that. I don't think that this particular forum is a place that we're going to solve any of those questions. If people have suggestions, they should present a proposal with some real facts, and then that can be taken offline.
Indeed. No, I agree with you, but, you know, given the fact that, you know, we've all been pretty much under a huge amount of stress the last few days, and I think it's, you know, whether it's an ideal platform or not, I think people need to get stuff off their minds, stuff that can go through their minds, especially security. You know, I've been thinking long and hard about increasing my security too. I've always been pretty blasé about it, but these times, the good times, as we knew in 2008, the good times rolled. They weren't coming back. And now in 2020, what little good times are left have gone completely. So it's now up to us to take responsibility, to take charge of our lives, and to make sure that we are safe. Because I tell you now, no one else is going to bother about it.
Andy, I do have a question, and that is with regard to the walkie-talkie system.
Yes.
You know, for us folks up here, it's still not working, right?
I know. So that I mean, and this is, I'm just going to say this out so people, and there are people who will be listening to this that know exactly what I'm saying. There was a study done here a number of years ago. The woman came out, the same woman that we bought these radio came out, and she said, right, everything's great, but you will need an antenna here. If you don't have an antenna, the radios will not work. Okay. I went to the same store. She never said a word to me. When I went back to her and said, listen, these radios aren't working. She said, oh, well, we were there a few years ago, and we told the administration then, without an antenna, you won't be able to get full coverage. Okay, but like I said with you, Robert, I've got a radio, you've got a radio. We can talk between us. So at night times, leave your radio in the charger. I'll leave mine in the charger. Okay, so at least if you have an issue, you can call me directly. Okay, and I can call the gate or come myself. I got a 9mm. I'm not afraid. Seriously.
Just throw a stone. It's going to hit somebody.
You know, and I know listen, it's not going to get any better than this. You know, we're now this next leg down. It's not about the coronavirus. I hate to say that. It's about stealing. It's about taking liberties. It's about taking money. It's about indebting people. And this is all a smoke screen to get beyond that. You know, when you start thinking about the millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people that die every single day from either cancer, heart disease, diabetes, especially diabetes, common colds, common flus. There are millions and millions of people dying every week. What's different about this bug? You know, you see here about people, you know, 103 years old, just recovered from the coronavirus in 3 days. Nurses, doctors, youngsters, everyone's recovering from it. People are going to die, you know, but you got to not buy into the fear. I'm sorry, I should perhaps shouldn't be saying this, but this is how I feel personally. You make up your own minds about it. But I've been looking at this stuff for David's saying 20 plus years now. That's why I'm living here. I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming years and years ago. And I made my decision 10 years ago to get here, to be out of the way. We all did, I think. So let's try not buy into the fear porn. Let's just try and understand what this really is about. It's about, for example, Europe now just announced trillions of dollars in support for the coronavirus. Where'd that money come from? Spain, 350 billion euros. Spain owes almost €1 trillion. Where did money come from? The IMF. The IMF is going to feed Ecuador. It's going to feed every single. This is what they wanted in order to completely indebt all of the nations into greater debt, and then to move on, to greater control. So all of these what do you call them? The quarantines, right? All of these laws from quarantines. You think they're going to go away? They're here to stay. They can quarantine a house. They can quarantine a street, a village, a city, a country. This is what it's all about. These controls are not going away. We are in the best place in the world, so don't worry about this. Understand that we've just got to shore ourselves up and maintain be vigilant. But it's the rest of the world that are going to be suffering. It'll take a long, long time to filter in through here. But that's where we're at. This is what it's all coming about. It's all about further control.
And don't worry, the vaccination is coming. It's on the way.
I'm telling you now, listen, guys, I don't have my whole family have never been vaccinated. I was the only one that got vaccinated and got damaged from it. If you hear about a vaccination that can cure the coronavirus, it's nonsense, because the coronavirus will allegedly, and here's the other thing, guys, a virus, has any of you ever done research on what a virus is? A virus is not a real living thing. It can only duplicate itself within a host cell. Virus is created by a body. You cannot breathe in viruses. The only way you can get a virus in your body is if it's injected directly into your bloodstream, or it comes into your bloodstream. It's all smoke and mirrors and fear porn, people. I'm sorry.
I got to bring us back to something.
Sorry.
I wanted to ask Stan and Elena, since I have you here, and I know that you guys did a lot with Meduvi as well. Regarding the resignation of Susan, there says something in Meduvi that you have to vote in the meeting, actually, and then the meeting minutes have to be recorded, and the president has to sign on that. That's in addition to the responses from the email. Is that right? Do you remember that?
That's new.
It's new. It's new.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so listen, what I need to do right now, so I'm just going to say this for the benefit of Meduvi. So I
guess, is everybody here in agreement and acceptance of Susan Peruka's resignation as treasurer?
So as the president, as a legal representative of the Hacienda, Susan Peruka resigned, and we have now 17 votes in favor of that resignation, 1 against, and 12 abstentions. So I hereby say that this motion to allow Susan to resign as treasurer is approved. Hear, hear. Who says aye?
I second it.
Aye.
Aye.
Right on.
Okay, now understand that you're not all Meduvi members here, but the ones that are valid.
Remember.
That was
You
my
are.
next question.
Yeah. The other thing too that we have to do is just to make it go faster, as well as just everybody here approves that Jerry can be a member of Meduvi. He should be, but they're not reflecting him, so I may have to start the process over. So I'd like to do that during this meeting too. We can sign off on one sheet for both things.
Yeah, so everybody here that's listening to this, I, as a legal representative of the Hacienda San Joaquin and legal consult to Meduvi, I hereby accept the membership of Jerry Volney.
Everybody
Yeah.
else?
Everybody say hi. Everybody else, if you agree, say aye.
Absolutely.
Aye.
Yeah, I agree.
There you go, Jerry. You're no longer illegal.
Okay.
Well, it'll start the process. I have to submit your escritura and your letter, and then we should be good.
Yeah. And again, we didn't even know all this. You know, we went to Meduvi, and it's just an absolute mess there.
No,
So again,
but let me just
perhaps you
say,
didn't hear, Stanley, we're having to petition with Meduvi now to make the processes easier because it's just an absolute nightmare to get anything done. But moving forward, you know,
And the fees.
the more we get fees, the more Meduvi members we have here, the easier it will be for us to make significant changes. Okay, because Meduvi only recognize Meduvi members. So yeah, if you want to be part of change, become a member.
And it's the only system we can work under right now.
It is. There's nothing else. We went to an incorporated body. It's just going to take forever and a day. And right about now, I think being under a government, especially Meduvi, is probably the best thing for us. It actually saves. It keeps us safe as well at the same time.
I agree.
I tried to get out of Meduvi 3 years ago, and we did everything and we were out. Remember back in the day, we wanted to split out. I thought I was out, but now I found out I'm
You
in.
are. You are. I have a letter that you wrote.
No, I saw it. I saw it.
But he's still on the list.
No, Anasha's on the list.
Oh
You're
yeah,
not
so
on the list.
yeah, you're not.
Well,
Anasha is.
Our house is on the list.
Yeah,
And,
something like that.
It's only one
But
vote per house.
Anthony,
So.
Christina, you guys are doing great with dealing with Meduvi and stuff, but just when you think they know what they're doing, they change what they're doing.
And that's what they've
and
done.
They don't follow through with things. I'm a perfect example. And but they do, sometimes they do things right. So you just got to time it right. And
so that are you a Mexican or a Mexicant? Are you a Meduvi or a Medu don't? Goodness me.
And you
guys
have
are
to know the
doing
right
great.
questions to ask too. That's the thing.
Sorry,
I like how it's going.
It's challenging. It really is challenging because we're not just facing pushback from usual suspects. We're facing pushback from a lot of things, and we're really just trying to show clarity in all of this to find value for money, clarity, transparency, and a good working environment and a good place to live. That's all what we all want, right? I have no agenda other than that. There's no reason for me to have an agenda because otherwise I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. You need to come and see what's going on. You need to open your eyes and see what's happening here. And a good majority do, and there's a majority that don't see it. But I promise you guys, we're working damn hard every single day. And Bruce will know, and Stanley will know exactly what happens. When you're on these boards, it's a thankless task. It's an unending task, and you don't make many friends.
So Andy, I'd just like to say, I think you're doing wonderful work, and I agree with you. With the increasing the security at this time when things are getting tight in the country as a whole. We're going to need the best security, and that's going to cost money. And I hope everybody here is aware, that this can only happen, these plans, if everybody pays their fees.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I think this is a very important point. We're all on board with you, and we have to pay our fees.
Absolutely, absolutely. People want to sit back and say, "Well, I'm not going to pay my fees to see what's happening." Do you want to pay your fees? Come and sit in my shoes and see what we're doing, and then you'll see what's happening. Just to sit back, this is a slow boat to turn around. But believe me, we've got so much stuff dialed in now. We've got so much stuff on the horizon. It's just going to take a few short weeks now, and we're going to come back with some amazing results. But in the meantime, we can't. This place cannot exist on fresh air.
And Andy, final question, my friend, because I've not been there for a while. But in terms of security, how, in your experience of being nearly a year now as president, and of course Lucia too has been very involved, and Bruce too, in other ways of security, but in terms of training them, and they drive around on push bikes at night and motorbikes, they don't even have truncheons, right? So security.
Well, no, they do. They have CS gas. They have. And I was part of all this. I actually got all this in place.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
They have battens, they have CS gas, and they have handcuffs. And they're currently being trained by Balthazar. Once a week, they have like a bit of a spar and stuff like that, physical contact. So
great.
They're getting there. But again, what's happening is there's no standard operating procedure for those guys. And that's what we're trying to work together now, so that they know that they are responsible for A, B, C, up to Z. And anything else that comes on extra, we'll pay for. But it's trying to get them out of we've been holding hands for way too long. And this is the problem. We've shot ourselves in the foot with this kind of mentality. Oh, well, they don't earn very much. And oh, the poor guys. But listen, when we've been going through the cap fund and also the money that's gone out of this hacienda to these people has been incredible. Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't have happened, but what I'm saying is, where's our value for money? We're a business. We're all paying. I've been paying in for almost 10 years now. I'm not
They were even complaining about, taking a driving license number. I'm saying, my gosh, what are you doing? Just sitting the whole day long, bored to death. And this is already too much for them. I mean, like you said, we've been shooting ourselves in the foot for so many years, and now it's going to be very difficult to reverse the situation. But I think it's possible because
it's difficult, but it's not impossible. I ain't making any friends on that side of things, but it is what it is. I'm explaining to people, this is what needs to happen, and you either accept it or you don't, and they accept it or they don't accept it. But ultimately, the team leaders, the contractors, Fernando and Nelson, are ultimately responsible for their staff. And if their staff do not do their job, we as an entity, as a business, can say, get that person off site, and they have no recourse. And that's where we're bringing this to. So we take charge of our own lives and not have our lives being in charge of other people. That's what we're trying to get away with.
And actually, as independent contractors, that's their business. They're actually supposed to show up with their equipment. They're supposed to show up with their uniforms, and they're supposed to show up trained. So we've taken them on, helping them with their personal business. If they ever did want to leave here, they still have that personal business, and we paid for their training, their equipment.
We've paid for everything: mobile phones, uniforms, bikes, gasoline. They're a contractor. How many contractors that pull up at your house and say, "Oh, sorry, we got a drill, we've got a pair of gloves, we've got any glasses, we've got truncheon"? None of them do. They're independent contractors, and because we've helped them. Now we've got to help them to become more professional in what they do. And it's as simple as that. And if they can't, then we've got to move on. It's our security that there's at risk here. And also as well, there were a lot of agreements made in the past, and legally, as each administration comes in, whatever deals and handshakes and whatever people have made in the past, if it was not legal and binding, as in legally and notarized, it's null and void. So essentially, all of these secret little meetings and handshakes and promises that were made back in the past are null and void.
And then I wanted to address, Robert, a comment that you made about back fees. There is a couple of conversations going on. One of the approaches that we're taking is looking at who is late in their fees. There's some people, one person just paid off all their fees, $3,000 or $4,000, and that was because they had more trust in the system, more trust in what's happening. There's other people who are getting to at least be current now and maybe pay a little extra towards their back fees because they're having financial struggles. There's some other people that are making payments within what parameters they can. So instead of just going and sicking lawyers on anybody, we've got to see who's just like, no, I'm not going to pay it, but can, and who's maybe having financial issues. So we're trying to break it down and look at it like that, and try to deal with people individually right now, and work with people. And then if we, then we can see what steps we have to take after that. I think it's
that's a very good approach. I mean, this approach of suing people, I think this was ready to fail from the, from the start. I mean, how many times you can sue really people? You're gonna sue them for $10,000, then they will not be paying again. Exactly. So then what are you gonna do? You're gonna be suing again. It's just, creates more problems to Hacienda. It's gonna drain our budget. I think what you are doing, people with time, they're gonna have more confidence in the entire business. They're gonna see results, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, that's the only best thing we can do for everybody. I think
there's only like 3 people who just aren't paying because they just don't want to, and those are people we have to look at. But there's other people really that are having financial difficulties. Even the lawsuit with Michael Burton, that needs to be understood. A relationship needs to be built. Confidences need to be brought back with people. You know, there's certain positions people were put in the past that we have to heal now, and we have to find a way to move forward with everybody.
I think it's important to mention Michael as well in all of this, and just what the facts are. Michael Burton is still in a lawsuit with members of the old board. Until that lawsuit is over and done with, there's nothing that this administration is going to do there, because we don't want to prejudice any side at any part. So that has to run its course. Once it's run its course, everyone's paying one way or another. So listen, I wish I could be more. We really do wish we could tell you a lot more, because there is so much stuff going on and so much we want to share with you. But legally, we can't, because I don't want to end up in prison, and I don't want Christina to end up in prison or fined or taken through lawsuits. So you can understand how litigious this place is. But in a short few weeks, there's going to be a lot more information we're going to give to you, because it will be coming from our lawyers and our auditor. Okay, it's all coming out. But I say I got a lot of energy for this. You know what? I realize now why I came here, to do this job, because someone had to do it. And I honestly believe, as far as the admin is concerned, this person can do it. And I was not voting for this person. I was against her. I said, you will never work here full time ever. Not as far as
I had to punch him a couple times, you guys. I had to put him in a strong way.
But I have to say, and I'll say it again, I'll say it every single time, she's been an absolute godsend for all of you people here. And I'm really disappointed and saddened about what happened in the past, but you know what, you have to move on. Christina is here to stay, and as long as I'm able to, I'll keep her.
There'll be some forgiveness in the future. You know, once we get through all this and we get things running smooth, we'll focus on social committee and getting people more involved with each other at a certain level.
But right now, there's only, so you can't even say that. Damn. But it's all good stuff, guys. It really, really is, and you're going to see a lot of things coming out. And also what I'd like to say as well, I've had some really beautiful personal messages from people out there that don't live here. And thank you very much indeed, because that just one message a week keeps me going for the month. So right about now, I've got about 3 years worth of energy dialed into me. So thank you for everyone that supports me. Thank you for everyone supporting Christina, and thank you for everyone that is continuing to support the community as a whole. But we have.
Well done, Andy. Well done, mate. Brilliant work, both of you. I wanted to just say that I think the microcosm of the hacienda to me is a macrocosm of the Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
Time to re-enter the golden age.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys like the Zoom? Do you guys like the Zoom?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Christina, if you need any help, to get something done in movie or, anything else, I have a lot of experience. Let me know. And I don't know if you want me to go there and move things around or, get something accomplished for something that you don't have time, just let me know.
Do you see the screen
it's like
there?
The Brady Bunch.
So you can have each person. We can see all of you on the screen now, unless you've got your watch. So it's a really good way of. I actually really do like this.
You can hit gallery and then you all show up.
Yeah.
Zoom is great for meetings. We use it in our work.
Yeah.
Zoom is good.
I like it a lot. We'll switch to this. I'll see if other people were having difficulty getting in or what.
No, I think we'll pick up this. It's only like $19 for the year or something like that. So I think
$14.99.
So we'll get this, and then all you guys so we need to update you very quickly. We can come on here, we can record all of this, and if you haven't seen it, you can come back to it. But I think it's a really good medium for right about now. Nothing beats meeting face to face and seeing all you beautiful people, but it's all we can do for now. So anybody else got any more questions? Concerns?
No more questions. Just thank you, Andy, for everything that you are doing. Really, I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Extremely proud of you. I know it's not easy.
No, and I appreciate every little bit of support I can get. And just let's all take responsibility, especially times like now.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, guys. It's been a pleasure. It is a pleasure.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you, both of you.
And Christina, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, guys.
All of you.
Namaste.
Right.
Namaste.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Barbara, I'm going to try to reply to you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Ciao.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm not ignoring Barbara.
Awesome.
I can't figure out the reply.
Okay.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't
I
worry.
don't know
Oh, but
how
I
to close the window.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Stop video and meeting.
Okay, I want to
This
make
one.
sure the records.
Easy was
Stop
that.
video.
You're
Oh, that
on
was
the
just our
I don't
video.
know.
Yes.
Now we are lost. We can close the meeting.
Okay.
And